In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the process called clearing the denominators. This is useful when you have fractions inside your equation to write an equivalent equation without them that might make it easier for most students to solve. To do this, the process starts with finding the least common denominator between the denominators of 3, 3, 2, and 4. So the smallest number that those three different numbers go into is going to be 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply each fraction in this equation by 12 over 1. The multiplicative property of equality says as long as I do to one side, I do to the other, then it's a perfectly equivalent equation. So by multiplying each of these by 12 over 1, let me go ahead and write that in here, 12 over 1, and over here, 12 over 1. You can see that I can reduce this 3 divides into 12 4 times. So I have 4 times 1, so 4 times a over 1. We don't need to write the 1 at the denominator. Second number, this 3 divides into 12 4 times, so 4 times 1 is 4, and again, denominator is 1, so we don't need to write it down. Going to the other side, 1/2 times 12. Well, that's going to be 6. 6a. And the last term, well, 4 divides into 12 3 times. 3 times the numerator of 3, that's going to make this 9. So now we have basically what we call clear the denominators. We no longer have fractions in our equation. So now it's just a matter of using the process. And again, it does not matter which side you end up with your a on. It's still going to be the correct answer. So I'm going to move my 4a over here simply because I like to have my variable positive. So now I have 2a is equal to, or 2a is plus 9, excuse me, bring that down. Bring down the 4 that's left over here. So now I have 2a plus 9 equals 4. So now I'm going to move my numbers over to the left, so I have my variable isolated. 4 minus 9 is -5, which is equal to 2a. Divide both sides by 2, because again, you're dividing by the number in front of a, because we want this to become 1a. So now I have a is equal to -5/2. And if you prefer to write it now, we can just flip everything around, because if something's equal to each other, it doesn't matter which side they're set on. So a equals -5/2. And then of course we should always go back, plug in -5/2 for each of our variables, and we can go back and double check that our answer is correct. Now you try. Here's another equation that has fractions in it, and I would like you to solve for y. First, by clearing the denominators. So pause the video, try this problem out for yourself, and then unpause the video to see the solution. Okay, let's take a look at the solution here. First thing I'm going to do is again find the least common denominator for these numbers. So here we can have 2, 4, and 3. So this one also is going to have a least common denominator of 12 in this case. Now, if you didn't have the least common denominator and you had a common denominator, it would still, in the end, reduce down to the correct answer. So don't get too hung up on that. So multiplying everything by 12 over 1. So again, 4 divides into 12 3 times. 3 times 1 is 3, so this first term is 3y. Second term, this 3 divides into 12 4 times. 4 times the numerator of 1 is 4. Other side, 2 divides into 12 6 times. 6 times 1 is 6, and we still have our y here. It looks like it's crossed out, but it's not. That's just my fraction bar here. And the last term, 2 goes into 12 again 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. So now this is my equivalent equation without fractions. So now again, you're going to solve, and it doesn't matter which way you take your variable. I'll go ahead and demonstrate this way by moving the variable to the left, which most people are used to. So these cancel. 6 minus 6 is 0. 3y minus 6y is negative 3y. Bring down the plus 4 and the 18. So now I'm going to move my numbers to the right. So subtract 4. 4 minus 4 is 0, and I'm left with negative 3y equals 18 minus 4 is positive 14. So we now have negative 3y is equal to 14. Again, divide by the number that's in front of y because we want this to reduce to the whole number 1. So we have 1y. And we divide this side by the same number because of division property of equality. 14 divided by negative 3 is simply negative 14 thirds. Congratulations.